Page 1, Chapter 1, A Letter to God by G.L. Fuentes. Before you read, they say faith can move mountains. But what should we put our faith in? This is the question this story delicately poses. Ncert is a farmer who writes a letter to God when his crops are ruined, asking for 100 pesos. Does Ncert's letter reach God? Does God send him the money? Think what your answers to these questions would be and guess how the story continues before you begin to read it.
Activity Number 1. One of the cheapest ways to send money to someone is through the post office. Have you ever sent or received money in this way? Here is what you have to do. As you read the instructions, discuss with your teacher in class the meanings of these words: counter, counter clerk, appropriate, acknowledgement, counterfoil, record. Consult a dictionary if necessary. Are there words corresponding to these English words in your languages? Inside the post office, go to the counter marked Money Order.
Buy a money order form or MO form by paying 50 paise to the person behind the counter.
Fill in the appropriate boxes in the form, preferably in block letters.
Pay the counter clerk the amount of money to be sent along with the charges.
Take back the MO acknowledgement counterfoil for your record.
Page 2. Fill out the money order form given here using the clues that follow the form.
There is a specimen form printed out on this book. It is superscribed as Department of Posts, India, Money Order. And following this, there is a space where you have to write the amount. Pay rupees so and so, and there is a quadrangular box where you have to fill in the amount of rupees in digits. Then comes the space which is meant for writing the address of the person to whom this money order is sent. It follows the word to so and his full address. Then there are certain boxes given which are to be filled in with the postal index number, that is the PIN. Then comes the date on which the money order is being sent. And then comes the space where the sender has to put his or her signature. Then there is a space for official use only, which is to be filled in by the clerk at the counter. Then he gives you back the MO acknowledgement counterfoil. And this MO acknowledgement counterfoil is the part of the entire money order form. This MO acknowledgement counterfoil denotes money order number, date on which it is sent, and the sender's name and address. Here, the counter clerk would ask you to give your name and address with full postal index number, that is the PIN. And he will also give with the seal of the post office the acknowledgement counterfoil denoting how much money he has received by way of money order as well as the commission. Date stamp would be put on the specified place, and the signature of the payee is to be put at the end. There is also a space for communication, just in case the sender of the money order wants to communicate in very few lines and words certain things which are to be communicated to the receiver of the money order.
Page number 3. Think about who you will send the money to and how much. You might want to send money for a magazine subscription or to a relative or a friend.
Or you may fill out the form with yourself as sender and your partner as receiver. Use a part of your pocket money and submit the form at the nearest post office to see how it's done. See how your partner enjoys getting money by post.
Notice that the form has 3 parts: the money order form, the part for official use, and the acknowledgement. What would you write in the space for communication?
Now complete the following statements. Number 1. In addition to the sender, the form has to be signed by the blank space.
2. The acknowledgement section of the form is sent back by the post office to the blank after the blank signs it.
Number 3. The space for communication section is used for blank.
4. The form has 6 sections. The sender needs to fill out blank sections and the receiver blank.
The house, the only one in the entire valley, sat on the crest of a low hill. Crest here means top of a hill. From this height, one could see the river and the field of ripe corn dotted with flowers that always promised a good harvest. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. "Now we are really going to get some water, woman."
The woman who was preparing supper replied, "Yes, God willing." The older boys were working in the field, while the smaller ones were playing near the house until the woman called to them all, "Come for dinner." It was during the meal that, just as Lencho had predicted, big drops of rain began to fall.
Page 4.
In the northeast, huge mountains of clouds could be seen approaching. The air was fresh and sweet. The man went out for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. And when he returned, he exclaimed, "These aren't raindrops falling from the sky. They are new coins. The big drops are 10-cent pieces and the little ones are 5s.
With a satisfied expression, he regarded the field of ripe corn with its flowers draped in a curtain of rain. Draped here means covered with cloth. But suddenly a strong wind began to blow, and along with the rain, very large hailstones began to fall. These truly did resemble new silver coins. The boys, exposing themselves to the rain, ran out to collect the frozen pearls.
"It's really getting bad now. exclaimed the man. "I hope it passes quickly." It did not pass quickly. For an hour, the hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, on the whole valley. The field was white, as if covered with salt.
Not a leaf remained on the trees. The corn was totally destroyed. The flowers were gone from the plants. Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons, "A plague of locusts would have left more than this. The hail has left nothing. This year we will have no corn." Here locusts means insects which fly in big swarms or groups and destroy crops. So I'll read out the sentence once again. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons, "A plague of locusts would have left more than this. The hail has left nothing. This year we will have no corn."
Page 5.
That night was a sorrowful one. All our work for nothing. There is no one who can help us. We will all go hungry this year. Now, oral comprehension check. Number 1. What did Lencho hope for? Number 2. Why did Lencho say the raindrops were like new coins? Number 3. How did the rain change? What happened to Lencho's fields? Number 4. What were Lencho's feelings when the hail stopped? Now again the lesson. But in the hearts of all who lived in that solitary house in the middle of the valley, there was a single hope: help from God. Don't be so upset, even though this seems like a total loss. Remember, no one dies of hunger. That's what they say. No one dies of hunger. All through the night, Lencho thought only of his one hope, the help of God, whose eyes, as he had been instructed, see everything, even what is deep in one's conscience. Lencho was an ox of a man, working like an animal in the fields, but still he knew how to write. Here conscience means an inner sense of right and wrong. The following Sunday, at daybreak, he began to write a letter which he himself would carry to town and place in the mail. It was nothing less than a letter to God. "God," he wrote, "if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and to live until the crop comes, because the hailstorm." Here, peso means currency of several Latin American countries. He wrote to God on the envelope, put the letter inside, and still troubled, went to town. At the post office he placed a stamp on the letter and dropped it into the mailbox. One of the employees, who was a postman and also helped at the post office, went to his boss, laughing heartily, and showed him the letter to God. Never in his career as a postman had he known that address. The postmaster, a fat, amiable here means friendly and pleasant. The postmaster, a fat, amiable fellow, also broke out laughing.
Page 6.
But almost immediately he turned serious, and tapping the letter on his desk, commented, "What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter," starting up a correspondence with God. So, in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with an idea: answer the letter. But when he opened it, it was evident that to answer it, he needed something more than goodwill, ink, and paper. But he stuck to his resolution. He asked for money from his employees. He himself gave part of his salary, and several friends of his were obliged to give something for an act of charity. It was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos, so he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. He put the money in an envelope addressed to Lencho, and with it a letter containing only a single word as a signature: God. Now, oral comprehension check. Number 1. Who or what did Lencho have faith in? What did he do? Number 2. Who read the letter? Number 3. What did the postmaster do then? Now further the lesson. The following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. It was the postman himself who handed the letter to him, while the postmaster, experiencing the contentment of a man who has performed a good deed, looked on from his office. Here contentment means satisfaction. Lencho showed not the slightest surprise on seeing the money. Such was his confidence. But he became angry when he counted the money. God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied Lencho what he had requested. Immediately, Lencho went up to the window to ask for paper and ink. On the public writing table, he started to write, with much wrinkling on his brow, caused by the effort he had to make to express his ideas. When he finished, he went to the window to buy a stamp, which he licked and then affixed to the envelope with a blow of his fist.
Page 7.
The moment the letter fell into the mailbox, the postmaster went to open it. It said, God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached to me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. But don't send it to me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Lencho. Now the oral comprehension check. Number 1. Was Lencho surprised to find a letter for him with money in it? Number 2. What made him angry?